Welcome to Sober.Coffee, a weekly coffee chat sharing experience, strength, and hope for anyone on the sober road to recovery. You can download Sober.Coffee weekly on all podcast platforms and check us out on Instagram at Sober.Coffee Podcast and on Twitter at Sober.Coffee Pod. To learn more about us and to help support these sessions, visit online at Sober.Coffee. Here are your hosts, two guys on their own path to recovery, Mike and Glenn. Let's join them at the coffee shop.
There's the 92% version, and then there's the 8% version.
No.
Which one do you want?
There's the yawner, and then there's the hypo.
When have you ever seen me yawn?
Okay, actually, I don't think I've ever seen you yawn.
Come on,
Do you
man.
not? That's unhuman. I mean,
Come on, man.
I've never seen you yawn, but you're like, you'll say, even on the episodes, you'll say, man, I'm really dogging, I'm really tired and stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
then there's the energized
You get me
Glenn.
up at 4 o'clock on a Saturday morning for God's sakes.
I know. And then there's the energized Glenn, and that's who we have in the studio this morning.
Well, there's a
Energized
reason.
Glenn.
There's a reason for that. So, love doing podcasts with you. We do several versions of podcasts. We do, Mikey and Glenn. Love those. Get a lot of value out of those. Just sitting in the coffee shop bantering with you. Then we have like guests that have written books and they're PhDs and blah blah.
ABCs,
ABC, EFG, and then we have special guests that we know from our rooms, from people we meet on social media,
people we spent time with.
Yeah, spend time. Just really cool people.
I mean, spent time.
And then there's today, right? So we have a special guest today, that I'm looking. I'm actually a little nervous. I have never been nervous, but I'm actually a little nervous. But no, special guest. His name's Timmy G, and what makes him special is he is my sponsor. And I just can't tell you. We don't have enough time in our 18-minute podcast to explain the value that he's delivered. But probably if you've listened to the show for a while. There's rarely a show where I'm getting chills. There's rarely a show I don't talk about him and the value that, A is he lives the program. Great example, lives the program. I picked him because he wore a nice suit and wore a nice watch and had nice shoes, and he carried 2 cups of coffee, and I thought that was cool, and that's why I picked him. But he had 3 years ahead of me or whatever, and I just picked him. And one, he lives the program. 2, he has done he has been relentless. That's the word that I will use with helping me in my sobriety. Back when I used to play, I'm getting crazy chills. Back when I used to play the game, what hospital am I going to show up next? Timmy would show up at 2 in the morning. In fact, a couple times it was his date night, right? And he'd bring his date into the hospital to check on Glenn.
What are we doing tonight?
Yeah,
I don't know. Going to a rehab.
Which hosptal? We don't know. We haven't gotten the call yet, but he'll be in one, right? And then just his example, of living and there were times I'd call him hourly. I'd call him at least daily, early on, all the time. And now I don't call him as much, maybe once or twice a week, just because I know what he's going to say. In fact, now I pick up the phone and call him. I said, I know what he's going to say. Why call, right? But it just really helped me shape a different way to live where I don't have to take a drink, man. Just so powerful.
Well, you say that. You say that on the show a lot. You do reference Tim a lot on the show, but I'll also let everyone know that you do that outside the show. I mean, we go into a meeting. The value of a good sponsorship. You need somebody who's had a good relationship, a good sponsor relationship, to show others that that's a key part of the program.
Yeah, it's funny when I back in September of 2014 when I quote unquote surrendered. Right, I surrendered. I mean, I was sitting on my counselor floor. I surrendered to him. I said, I will do whatever you tell me to do. And then shortly after that, very quick, like within days, I forget what days or a week, I surrendered to Tim. I'm like, dude, let's do this for real this time. And I told him, I said, I'll do whatever you tell me to do. And there are so many times, man, I do what he does, and it's opposite of what I want to do, and it works out, right? It's amazing that my way is not the best way. I'm still learning that. So,
is Tim's way the best way?
Tim's way is always the best at the time.
Do the right next thing.
You got it. Yeah, that's about what it comes down to, Glenn, is when I was drinking, my decision-making was horrible. And when I got a clear head, it took me months and months to get a clear head.
What would you say? 6 months, 9 months, 4 months? Before you started clarity?
My clear head started when I started waking up and I wasn't hungover.
Okay.
That is so crucial because now you can have a day where you're not worried about going after alcohol every other minute.
Just think of the mental gymnastics just that takes.
Yep.
All the math you're doing about how much you drink, when's the next time.
It was insane how alcohol was in my mind 24/7. Just insane. But once I got sober and, guys took me under their wings and I didn't want to let them down. I mean, they're putting
That's interesting.
They were putting a lot of time and effort into me. I know that's not the reason to stay in the program, but it's one of the reasons.
It helps. I mean, frankly, I feel that with you. I didn't want you put so much into me. I don't want to let you down.
Right.
Yeah.
And there were days that mattered.
I did the same thing with all the guys that took me in, and they taught me how to stay sober, one day at a time. Right. That's about what it came down to.
All right, so I'm going to sit in the driver's seat.
Okay.
So
here's the keys.
Tim, I love having you, man. It was such a privilege having you in here, and I love you, man, and you know that. So our session today, right, is rapid espresso shots. Right.
We've done this before.
Yeah, we've done it before, and we actually get really, really strong, cool feedback. And what we do is we answer 6 or 7 rapid-fire questions, right? They're not protracted, 8-minute answers with flip charts and pie graphs, right? They're just rapid, instant, and nobody knows the questions, so there's no preparation, right? It's just real coffee shop talk, right? So I thought with Tim coming in and Tim being my sponsor, and just a valuable sponsor, I thought we'd do the sponsorship edition.
All right, I'm up for
sponsorship edition of Rapid Fire. So,
all right,
here's the first one. So we'll put you on the hot seat for all the questions, and Mikey and I will chime in. Okay. Is that cool? And
that's real cool.
All right, number 1. What is sponsorship? Now, Tim, don't forget, we have listeners that are sober curious. They might be the first time they're ever listening to anything sobriety related. Maybe 1 week, 4 weeks sober to 30 years, right? So all across the spectrum. So some of these folks may not even have heard the word sponsorship. So what is sponsorship, and what is the value of getting one?
Well, first of all, sponsorship to me is friendship. When someone asks you to help them, you've already met them. So you've already got a friend. That's how I look at it. And being a sponsor is basically taking someone at their utmost cellar dwelling. I don't know how else to put that, but you're in a bad state. Usually sponsorship starts within the first 3 months. It took me about 4 or 5 months to get a sponsor because I was too cool for the program. I knew all the answers.
Sure. How'd that work for you?
Too cool, Timmy.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I stayed sober, but I didn't have a sponsor.
Gotcha.
I was more of a listener when I first came in because I was scared. I didn't know what I was doing. But that's okay,
right?
Yeah. But when I did get my sponsor, it was the best thing that ever happened to me because he could read through my bullshit within 2 seconds. And that's what a sponsor can do, is change you the way you're supposed to be. Because when we're drinking, we're not the person we are. Or we're supposed to be. My sponsor basically was a step person. Totally the steps were his utmost what he wanted me to do. And that's what I did. It took me a while to get through my step 4.
Why was that?
I didn't know. I had no clue. I just know I was on it for over a month writing stuff. Then he's like, don't make a novel out of it. But it did bring up a lot of stuff that I did, but it just didn't feel complete. And I went to a 4-step workshop, and because I didn't know why I couldn't do my 4-step. It just wasn't right. Didn't feel right to me. Now, this is about month 9, month 10. I'm not even a year sober yet. I went to the workshop, and the number one word I learned that day was fear. I still felt like I was fearless. And this workshop told me to write down stuff, what you're fearful about. And it was amazing.
What you uncovered?
I had 50 at least in the first day. So once I grasped that, it didn't take me long. I knew fear was keeping me from step 4.
Okay. All right, awesome. So going to keep us back on track here. So one is, one of the values, in fact, one of the funny stories I have about you, Timmy, is during COVID, we did a lot of Zoom meetings, right? And the part of the question I'm focused on here is what's the value of having one, right? And there's, I don't know, 50 people on the phone, and, Timmy says, he goes, "Hey, Glenn, how come you don't have a picture of me hanging on the wall behind you?"
I remember that.
I know, it's awesome. Yeah. And so I turned around, it was my basement office, I turned around, I got these 3 really sexy prints of this lighthouse that's being just engulfed by a major wave, right? The lighthouse stands tall, shines bright, right? And it just hit me in that moment, Tim's role in my life as a sponsor and the value of it. And I'm like, "No, dude, I totally do." I'm like, "Look," I said, "you're my lighthouse."
I love it.
Right? And
you did.
And you couldn't have 3 of the sexier pictures of this big French or wherever, Portugal, wherever the lighthouse was. And I'm like, it hit me. As the waves of life hit me, my sponsor stands strong and tall and still shines the light for me as I hit the waves. And in early sobriety or in sobriety, even in, I said early, but even at any level of sobriety for me and for others is an unknown. We know how to drink. We know how to do the mental gymnastics. We know how to wake up hungover. We know how to have another drink to make the hangover go away. We know all that stuff. What we don't know is how to live through a picnic or a family event or work stress without having to pick up a drink. Right? So it's a world of unknowns. So a sponsor can be a lighthouse, should be a lighthouse for you as you work through the program of Alcoholics Anonymous and the 12 steps, right? And, so all right, that's
right.
great.
Well, hold on.
All right,
what jumped out at me was friendship. I love that. But here's what I learned coming into the rooms is how I define friendships prior to October 13th, 2018 was transactional. I'm going to help you with your stove. You're going to help me with my refrigerator. I'm going to give you a ride to the store. You're going to give me a ride to the hardware store. It was transactional. There was something in it for each one of us. That was my life before 2018. Once I got sober, I realized that friendships in this program are defined at a whole nother level. It's unconditional love. It's just helping that next guy out. So friendships for me that I so discounted for so many years now bring so much value to my life because I have people that are going to be honest with me. They're true friends.
Right. So I love the transactional. It was with Timmy because I lived that way for my whole life.
Yeah.
Especially in business, it's transactional, right? I want 4 from you, but I'll give you 1, then I win, right?
Right. Sure.
Then I'm a good business person. But so it was funny. I can remember mentally, I'm laughing at myself here. Mentally, I was trying to keep up with Tim. He was doing so much for him, and I was trying to keep up. And then finally, I gave up because I'm like, "There's no way. I can give."
Catch up.
Oh, I had nothing to give. Right? And I'm not just talking about any money or material. I'm just talking about energy and commitment. I'm like, I just can't keep up. So I just went along. Okay.
Gotcha.
All right. It's supposed to be rapid fire. That was 5 minutes for question 1. Okay. Next one is, all right, Tim, ready? How do you pick a sponsor?
That is tough. My suggestion with the sponsors, try to find someone that is relatively within your year range of, say you're 50 years old. Don't pick.
You mean age range?
Age range.
Not years of sobriety. Age range.
Age range. you're 50 years old, don't pick a sponsor. It's 25. Simple as that. Stay focused when you're in the rooms, because you're not going to have a sponsor yet. You need to sit there and listen to what everyone's saying, and it'll come to you who's got what you need, because we all need something different. It all ties into drinking, but we all need something different because our issues are a lot more than booze.
So what you're saying, what I heard was, if you're in the rooms with a person, you might be able to feel it click with that person.
Absolutely.
Okay. Maybe things they've said, maybe the ways they handle themselves, maybe the watch they wear.
Oh, here we go.
Well, the thing is, what you're trying to do is find someone that
you relate to,
that's parallel to your what you're trying to do with your sobriety, because there's so many different avenues.
But part of this is, and you know, I had, you know, a temporary sponsor one time way early in sobriety. It was like, you know, a militant, right? I mean, his role in his life was just to boss me around, and everything I said, it was wrong. It was the opposite, and he was just being an ass, right? But it's hard to fix the brain, fix a problem with the same brain that created it, right? So as I came in, right, I was trying to find what I could manipulate, what I could work. This is like 2003, right? My first couple sponsors, you know, I picked easy ones that I knew I could get away with shit, and it wasn't the right ones for me. That's where, you know, Timmy finally, when I connected with Tim, I don't know, 10 years, 15 years ago, whenever it was, you know, it was, you know, the right way. And he wasn't giving into my way. He wasn't working my program. Right. I was working his program. Yeah. You know, which is the program of Alcoholics Anonymous.
For me, my higher power kind of did it. I went to a 30-day rehab, and all I caught was get a sponsor. Get a sponsor. No one told me what to do, how to do it, but it was imperative that I get one. In my second meeting outside of rehab, I was sitting next to a guy. He shared one time. He was about 10 years my senior and about 20 years my sober senior. And I said, boy, I want to get to 20 years. And I asked him, he accepted, and away we went.
That's it. It's a simple process.
Yes,
sometimes.
right?
Sometimes.
Yeah. Just do it.
Yep.
All right. So I noticed with these rapid shots, these rapid fire espresso shots, we still give long answers. We just say them faster.
Brian's laughing at our engineer.
All right. Okay. All right. Next one. All right, this is rapid fire, question number 3.
Okay.
So I want one answer from each of us, and if we have time, we'll go around a second time. What is one key to a successful sponsor-sponsee relationship? One key. Timmy, you're on the hot seat.
Honesty.
Darn it. That was the one I wanted. That was the one I wanted.
Killing me, Smalls.
Right. So if I go to a doctor, right, and I bullshit about all my symptoms, I'm not going to get a very good diagnosis, and I'm not going to get a solution. Right.
I thought therapy sucked because I was dishonest and they couldn't fix me.
Right. So that's, Timmy, I love that. I think that's a foundational one. I think it's honesty. You know, if I don't tell you what's going on and what I'm thinking and how I feel and facts, you know, there's no way we can work on anything.
Real fast in the not promises.
Say it faster. No, just kidding.
And how it works, honesty is said 3 times in the first paragraph. Bill Wilson was trying to tell us something.
Right, gotcha. And I think accountability is another big word.
All right, so yours is accountability.
Yeah, I wanted honesty, but somebody stole it. All right. But yeah, I would go with accountability, which is just honesty on steroids.
Right.
You know.
No, it's in fact, I can remember Tim calling you when you know Jen wanted me to put Life 360 on my phone, and I'm like, this bullshit, man. I had less accountability when I was 12, and you're like, dude, you're not going anywhere you're not supposed to be. What does it matter? You know? And so no, I love accountability. So my next one would be confidentiality.
Okay.
So
I like that.
One of the things that is really key with a sponsor-sponsee relationship, especially for those out there that don't have a sponsor, right? And again, if you don't tell the whole, I mean, that's being honest, right? Telling the whole story, right? But you got to have a level of confidence in that friendship, in that relationship, right? That whatever you share stays amongst the two of you, especially in step 5.
Sure.
Right.
Right.
Crucial. crucial.
Yep.
Yeah,
I like that.
and I have, business, relationships, anywhere else in life. I mean, there's always a leaky faucet from a confidentiality standpoint, But I have seen the tightest lips on the tightest ships I've ever seen has been in AA.
Yeah, right.
So
Good
I
one.
would say confidentiality. All right, Tim, I'll put you on the spot for a second one.
Bring it on, bud.
Go ahead. Your second.
No. Second key to successful sponsor.
Availability.
Oh, darn it. That was another one of mine.
Yeah, mine too.
Yep.
You've got to know when you see your phone ring that it's important. Or can I call them back? If it's midnight, it's important. If it's 10 in the morning, you're doing something, can I call you back? Sure. But you got to be there.
Man, I just got chills. I love that.
Yeah,
I love being available. And one of the cool things about availability is you're sober to be available.
Oh my God! Of
Right?
course, you're sober to help
if you're
anyone.
drinking, if you're drinking, you ain't available.
It's a motivator.
Right. Okay, just quick. I had a couple other ones just kind of jotted down. One is empathy, right? Two is flexibility, right? So sometimes, Tim, there are some times Tim hardlined me. And yet there's times he gave me grace and he was flexible, right? And somehow he had the genius to understand which to use when, right? But having some flexibility, having some empathy, understanding what your sponsees are going through, so, okay. Good, done? Okay. Sorry, man, I feel like I'm rushing through this, but I probably am.
They're sober shots, man.
That's
We're
right.
supposed to be rushed through.
Espresso shots. I know, Timmy. We didn't like using the word shots, so we used espresso shots. Okay, next one, Tim. You ready? All right. What do sponsors and sponsees? Again, we're trying to paint a picture for people who either A, want to be sponsors, or B, early on they have no idea what sponsorship is. So number 4, what do sponsors, sponsees do together?
Anything and everything.
Life.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I like that.
You get hooked at the hip.
Yep.
You must get hooked at the hip because it's my rudder. My sponsor is my rudder.
I'm trying to save your life.
Amen,
and in the
man.
meantime, you're saving mine. There's nothing more important than that.
Right.
That's how I look at it.
Amen. So I just jotted down a couple things. I mean, life, I don't think you say it better than that. Everything, I don't think you say it better than that. But just some practical ones. I put meetings, phone calls, coffee, serving projects, big book work, exercises. I'm not sure why the fuck I put exercises down there. I think Timmy and I went to the gym. No, I think Timmy and I went to the gym one time in 10 years. So let's cross.
It works.
Here, let me cross that on my phone. Let me cross that out.
Right.
But no, hey, Timmy, I can remember one of the valuable things. I can remember 2011, one of the most painful years of my life, and I don't think I touched my phone for a year. And when we got back in gear, I remember you saying, "Hey, I want you to call me every day." And I'm like, "Dude, I'm not doing that." He goes, "Why?" I was like, "Because I don't know what to say." He goes, "Can you pick up the phone, call, and say hi?" I said, "I can do that." And you know what? I mean, the magic started. He goes, "I'll carry it from there." And the magic started to work. One is I got outside of my will and said, "Okay, I'll do whatever you tell me to do. You want me to do that?" And people say, "Well, sponsors, the program and sponsors have a lot of suggestions." My sponsors had a lot of suggestions framed as commands. Just because if you want to get this, you got to do that.
Well, and what I heard your sponsor just say a minute ago is he's saving your life. I mean, that's a big responsibility.
Yeah, he literally.
Sponsorship is a big responsibility, and I take it very, very seriously.
Literally saved my life. He was in the hospital 2 or 3 in the morning. I forget. I had a 4-6, and he comes in, and the neurosurgeon, red scrubs, saying, "Hey, I'm not going to live through the night." And yet here I am sitting next to Timmy, 10 years later, whenever.
Have a good day, Glenn.
Yeah, did you leave? Oh well, he doesn't have much of a chance. I'm out of here. I'll go get a burger.
Tim punched the time clock.
Yeah,
goes, job over.
That's right.
Next.
All
right, next one. All right, ready? So now we're switching gears a little bit, okay, from a sponsee to being a sponsor, right? We want to help people that, are walking the path. They see the value walking the path. They're getting some good sobriety together, right? So question 5 is, what qualifies a person to be a sponsor?
Steps. First and foremost, you cannot help anyone until you can help yourself. And if you don't do the steps, you're not helping yourself.
I love that.
So perfect. So I wrote down, I wrote down, hey, you can't carry the message that you don't have.
Mm-hmm. Right? Exactly.
But what's important is this is not Mike's program of sobriety. I mean, there's a guidebook out there, and the first 164 pages taught me how to get sober. Now I need to teach those same 164 pages to the next guy. It's not Mike's program of sobriety here.
But it keeps Mike sober when he's doing it.
It sure does. Yep.
Yeah, so there was a guy a couple years ago, right? And he had like 3 months sober. And he was in these Zoom meetings, he would raise his hand and volunteer. Hey guys, I'm available to be I think he was on step 2 or step 3. Mm-hmm. Hey guys, I'm available to be a sponsor. Anybody needs a sponsor, call me. I'll be a great sponsor, call me. And I can remember, calling Tim up, and I got one of his favorite answers. Glenn, it's none of your business. Mm-hmm. What other people do, and that was a real good life lesson for me that I'm still learning.
Honest.
But I'm like, that is an absolute train wreck ready to happen. He's telling people he's going to sponsor when he doesn't have the message himself, mm-hmm. right? So I kind of learned that, and then I sat back and watched that train crash over and over and over again. And unfortunately, he had people that got sucked into his ego, and he crashed them along with him.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that was painful, man. Yeah. Just absolutely painful. Okay. So is there a time frame? Is there a certification course that people have to go to, to be a sponsor?
No, but I would suggest maybe helping co-sponsor someone when you start.
That's a smart idea.
And learn from a guy that's been sponsoring people. You can kind of get the gist of it. Co-sponsoring's great. All you're doing is adding a friend into your group.
It takes pressure off.
Right. It takes a lot of pressure off.
So I can remember I had my first sponsee, and I had no idea what I was doing, and I knew I was over my skis, and I'm still trying to find the doorknob of life, and yet he says, hey, man, will you sponsor me? And I said, first thing I did is I called Tim. I'm like, hey, he wants me to sponsor him. I'm like, I don't feel comfortable. I said, can we sponsor him together, right? Can we kind of work on, I said, can we go out to dinner with him and just kind of talk to him together, and you feed me, you tell me what to say, I'll say it to him.
Sure.
I had no idea, right? And we still do that together.
Right.
And it just takes the pressure off me. Hey, if I'm not available, Tim's available, right? And there's guys, that I sponsored today, they go to Tim, because they know I'm busy and Glenn's in some meeting. Hey, I got a quick question. I'll call Tim.
Right.
Because Tim's not working. He's retired and he's playing golf all day.
I don't mean to make this sound like a Sunday school answer, but I co-sponsor everybody because I've got a higher power that I tap into.
Oh my gosh, Mikey!
I know,
Mikey!
You gotta tap into that extra
co-sponsor.
And the rooms, you learn so much. Go ahead.
All right, okay. Next one, and let's just go around the room here real quick as we wrap up. Tim, what is the value that you get from being a sponsor?
Wow. Satisfaction, I guess, because when you're a sponsor and you're giving everything that you know to someone else, that's your happiness, guys. That's how you're happy. You're helping another alcoholic. You're outside of your realm. You're not even worried about yourself. You're worried about someone else. And that's what this program's all about. Getting outside our heads to help others.
It's the epitome of service.
Yes, it really is.
And I would say fulfillment. You know, there's nothing.
Oh, is this your official answer?
Yes, there's nothing more impactful, and I've had it happen to me, where I'm introduced as the guy who saved a life. It's just like, that's me? The drunk Mike? No, that's sober Mike.
All right, awesome. Yeah, I have a sponsee. I mean, just like in every meeting we're at, and we try to go to one meeting a week and together, or one meeting every 2 weeks, and I mean, I'm at an embarrassed level, right? He always says, "Oh, my spot," and I'm like, "Oh, don't mention me, don't mention me," you know. But you know, so I mean, I used to be all about the ego, right? So for me, it is. I learned more of AA and the steps of AA from being a sponsor than I ever did going through the program myself.
Without a doubt.
Right.
I mean, let's just say when I went through the program myself, well, first of all, I mean, it took me a year for my brain to turn on or something like that. So I went through half the steps numb, you know. But so let's say of what I know today, let's say 10% I learned from going through it myself. You know, the other 90% is trudging the road with a sponsee and doing this, because every time they do the steps, I do the steps again. I have them do exercises. I like to think outside the box. I do the exercises with them. We do serving projects together. We go to sober living. We go to a convention. Right. I do it with them. And I'm telling you, that for me, that was the magic of learning this program. And I love reworking the steps, man. I get chills just think about it. And the second part B to that is I am reminded of, I see proof that this shit works on a regular basis, on a daily basis when I connect and reconnect. I just had Sponsee out with his son out in California. I mean, and the life-changing proof of that relationship he has with his son 6 years into sobriety. I mean, it is just amazing. And you know what? I never have any doubts that AA works, because I live in AA and every day I see proof that this shit works, and man, just so valuable.
Let's keep working it.
So, dude,
thanks, Tim.
Dude, thanks for coming in, man.
Hey, you come back?
Keep waiting for the miracle. Miracle's going to happen.
We're right in the middle of the miracle, I think. Sometimes it's cool to recognize that.
Will you come back again?
It all depends.
Thanks, brother.
All right.
I might be golfing.
Thanks, brother. I love you, man.
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks for everything, man.
Thanks, guys.
See you, Glenn.
Thanks for joining us for today's coffee chat. To contact the show, email us at podcast@Sober.Coffee. If you need immediate help, the AA hotline is 800-839-1686. The National Suicide Prevention Hotline is 800-273-8255. Remember, Mike and Glenn are sharing their own journey on the path to recovery. Any suggestions, medical or otherwise, are their own experiences and should not be viewed as professional advice. See you next week, and remember, there is a solution.